I'm Polly Warren and welcome to the Positive Perimenopause podcast. This is the place for some positive inspiration to help you through the rollercoaster ride of perimenopause. I truly believe that with the right support, knowledge and wellness tools, you can feel your best yet, because I'm learning this life phase can be a truly exciting and often pivotal time of life. With every episode, my mission is to support and empower you to own your menopause, because it's time to start taking care of the most important person, and yes, that's you. So thank you for being here and sharing your time with me. Now let's dive in. Hello and welcome back to the podcast. I am back home after a whirlwind trip to South Africa. I'm so delighted I went. It was a bit of a roller coaster of emotions, facing up really to the reality that my mum's got Alzheimer's and, it's really bloody crap. And I think my sister and I hadn't quite realised how bad it was. Sorry, I didn't mean to start the podcast on a negative note, but just to give you a little update of really how difficult it is when I think everybody at our age, if you're lucky enough still to have a parent, I know lots of you may not have your parents still around, but they're getting older and there's a whole load of health issues which arise. And I think for me, it was a real realization that even though my mum's here, I've definitely lost a very big part of her. And it's just really heart-wrenching and very sad. But what it has done, it's reinforced in me the absolute need to keep ourselves fit and healthy at this age, because some of my parents' friends who are also out in South Africa with them are super fit, super healthy. Their brains work really, really well. And they are great examples of how you can be when you're approaching 80 or 80 years old, when you keep yourself fit and well. And it was just really great to see that. Now, this is usually the section of my podcast episode where I tell you about what I'm currently offering. But I thought today I would tell you a little bit about what a menopause coach is, because actually lots of people say to me, but Polly, what do you actually do? Well, very simply, a menopause coach supports you and helps you navigate the roller coaster ride of menopause and perimenopause. Ultimately, I help women to make perimenopause a lot easier. I help women like you feel good in your body, to feel more energized, to reduce symptoms and to feel good about yourself. And often that's helping you to achieve your goals and to get what you want. So why then do people benefit from having a coach? Well, I'm sure you've experienced at some point in your life how difficult it can be to either stop an unwanted habit or to introduce a new healthier habit and then make it stick. That's the tricky bit. As human beings, this is a natural phenomenon that comes from our survival brain. Every time we start leveling up, we make a change which feels a little bit uncomfortable, even though we want to do it, our survival instincts and our saboteurs dig in and create resistance. So remember, the survival brain wants to keep us alive and safe, and coming out of our comfort zones means to our survival brain that it's no longer safe. So what we need are strategies, and we need support to trick our primitive brains, also known as the reptilian brain, so that we can create new neural pathways and make long-lasting change. And someone like me can really help make that change a hell of a lot easier. I talk a lot more about this in episode 7, which is called How to Make New Healthy Habits Stick. So if you want to learn more about how the brain works and how we can make habits stick, then go back and have a little listen to that episode. And another big part of the work I do is to help women rediscover the real person inside, so the real you. I know from my own experience and also from so many others that I work with that many of us can feel very lost and alone during this perimenopause transition, and we lose ourselves, we forget who we are. Many of you, I'm sure, have spent many years going through the motions of life. You're holding down a job. For those of you who have children, they've probably been your focus for a very long time, that it's very easy to forget about you and what you like doing, because we're focused on everything else other than ourselves. And this was most definitely me. And I see this all the time, and it's no fault of our own. It's just that life is super busy and we are very good at putting ourselves last and forgetting our own needs. But at perimenopause, as our hormones are changing, and often without the rose-tinted glasses that estrogen gives us up until this point, many of us start to have an empty feeling that there must be more to life. Very often we forget who we are at our core and what's really important to us. And this is what I'm going to focus on in this episode. I'm going to help you get super clear on what's important to you right now. And we're going to do this by discovering your top 5 to 7 values. It's highly likely that your current values are very, very different to the values that you had when you were in your 20s, your 30s, even a year ago. Our values are constantly evolving as we go through life. So knowing your values, it's like having a life compass guiding you in the direction you want to live your life. It's also so blimmin' helpful when you're short on time to know your values. I used to be the queen of saying to myself and to anybody else who would listen, I don't have enough time for that. I always felt I didn't have enough time. And particularly when I was a teacher with small children, I just felt I was always up against the time and I couldn't do anything for myself. And I appreciate that when you have children, particularly small children, time is limited because they do need more of your time. And, you know, we spend a lot of time ferrying them around from A to B. And, you know, there's everything as well that goes with being a parent. And I also know that often our jobs can suck up a huge amount of our time, but that's why it's even more important to know your values, because when you can work out what your priorities are because of you know exactly what's important to you because of your values, it really helps you choose and decide how to spend your time, because we all have the same amount of time each day. It's up to us how we spend it. I'm going to start by telling you a bit about my own values to show you how I use them in my life. And I must admit, for many years, I had no idea what my values were. But I've now done this exercise, which I'm going to share with you a bit later on, quite a few times. And actually, I've done it incredibly recently. And it's something I'd recommend you do every year or every 6 months, because we are constantly evolving throughout our lives. And it really helps us live in a way that feels good and is fully aligned with who we are. Okay, so I've got 7 values, which I'm going to share with you today. Now, I haven't included family in this because I feel that goes without saying. My family are everything, and really everything I do is for them. And these values, which I'm going to share with you, are really more for my own compass in how I show up for life, which a massive part of that is really my family. Okay, so my number 1 top value is health, because if you don't have health, what really do you have? I don't want to install my own model of happiness on you, but surely health has got to be up there. And how I know it's one of my top values is because of the choices I make in my life. Even when I'm super busy, I always make time to work out, to meditate, to get outside, to eat well, to stretch, to make time for myself to recharge. And this wasn't always something I used to prioritize, but for probably the last 5-10 years, it's been really super important. And it's not only for my own benefit, but for those I love. I want to be around for my children, my grandchildren. I know I show up better for everything and everybody when I'm feeling good. There's a 2022 report on the state of aging, which you can find online, which found that women in England spend more years with illness and disability than men. And that on average, women spend 22.2 years living in ill health towards the end of their lives. And for men, it's 17.1 years spent in ill health. I mean, that's a lot of years of your life spent not feeling great. And actually, musculoskeletal disorders are the cause of the most years spent in poor health for people aged 50 and over, which is hardly surprising when the amount of time of being physically active decreases as we age. So that really is not great. And as I said earlier about my parents' friends, it was so refreshing and so nice to see them so fit and healthy. And for me, that is what I want. So yeah, that is a big reason why health is right up there as my top value. Now, my next value is freedom. Now, this is really important to me because for so many years, I worked as a primary school teacher, and as a teacher working in the school system, you don't have a huge amount of freedom. You have to be in school at a certain time. You can't leave until a certain time. You have to take your holiday in school holidays. You have to follow the timetable. It's very difficult to take time off during term times, which meant at the time I missed so much when it came to my own children. So things like their plays, assemblies, sports days. I felt like I really didn't have any freedom at all, and that I missed out on so much due to this lack of freedom. And it really, really bothered me. So that was really a huge driver for me to start my own business. I was just yearning for the freedom to decide how I spend my time, what I work on. And now I feel so much better for it. And I totally realize that doesn't suit everyone and it's not everyone's cup of tea, but I've worked out that that is really, really important to me. So my next value, my third one on the list, is enthusiasm. Now, this is important to me because when I'm approaching something, whatever that might be, whether it's work, relationships, fitness, if I can do it with enthusiasm, then that feels good. And it's a really good one if I have a moment of indecision, if I don't know whether to do something or not. I know that I can ask myself, right, do I have enthusiasm for this or not? And if I do, yes, great, I'll do it. But if it fills me with very little enthusiasm, it makes it a much, much easier no. And enthusiasm is one of those real high vibration feeling states. If we've got enthusiasm, then we just tend to feel good. So my next one on the list, my fourth one, is honesty. Now, I put this one because for many years, I just wasn't being honest with myself. I was always a really good shapeshifter. I would change who I was being according to the group of people I was with or the situation I was in. And I've learned that when I'm showing up as me and turning up without caring what anyone thinks, and that's a big one, particularly at midlife, then I feel so much better about myself. And I think a lot of us get like this. I mean, this has obviously taken a lot of work to get to this point, but now I'm just thinking, sod it, I'm just going to show up as me. So having honesty on my list of values is super important because it's there to remind myself to be who I am, to be proud of who I am. But I also want honesty in the sense that now that I do the work that I do, it's really important to me to show up in an honest way. I don't want to sugarcoat things. I want to show up as me. And if that's sweaty me in my gym kit with no makeup on Instagram, which happens quite a lot, then so be it, because I'm anything but perfect. And I feel it's important to remind myself it doesn't matter if I'm not perfectly groomed, because that's not how I am in real life. My next one is community. Now, this value is important because I realized for so many years, and particularly when my children were smaller and I was all over the place with my hormones when they were out of whack, that I felt really quite alone. And particularly as a teacher, although you have a classroom of kids, you're very much, as an adult, alone for a big part of the day. And I just felt really quite lonely. And I ended up cutting myself off from the people who light me up. And even though I had my immediate family at home, I still felt pretty lonely because my husband was away a lot and it was the adult company I was wanting. So I realized that I needed to find my tribe. And although I had friends, I was pretty rubbish at reaching out to them at that time. I wasn't making a massive effort. So this value of community is there to remind me that when I have a group of like-minded people around me, it makes me feel good. And I'm so grateful now that I do. And I nurture them. And it's an area I really want to continue to grow through this podcast, through my Facebook group, my email list, and as well as my personal life. I mean, that's much, much more improved now. I'm feeling back to myself again. So yeah, community, I've realized, is really quite important to me. My sixth value is growth. Now, when I left teaching in schools, I bought a tuition franchise, which I had for 6 years. And as I was building it, it was great, but pretty quickly, it just got very samey, very stagnant. And I really began to not enjoy it. And I realized it was because it just wasn't challenging me anymore. I'd taken it to where I could do the work standing on my head, and I lost any kind of enthusiasm for any personal growth. And one of the gifts, I would say, of that the difficult perimenopause gave me was that I suddenly had this incredible thirst to learn about what was going on. And it triggered my thirst for personal growth again. And now you just have to have one look at my bookshelves or my podcast listening hours to see what a wellness geek I am. I can't get enough of it. I've always got a few books on the go. I'm always listening to podcasts. I just love it. And it fuels me and it gives me energy. So this is something I really can't live without at the moment. And my last value here is fun. And actually, maybe this should be higher up the list, but I feel like I need to have a sense of fun and laughter in whatever I'm doing. I need fun in my life with my kids, with my husband, with my friends. And when there isn't much fun going on, it really affects the way I feel. So I know if I'm living according to these values, I feel good. I feel lit up. I feel excited by life. And ideally, if I can, at the end of the day, go through that list and go, yes, that happened. Yes, I happened. Yes. And give them all a tick, then surely that is what life's all about. And I know when I haven't been living according to these values, that's when I feel heavy. I feel drained of energy, and it has a massive negative impact on everything. a very quick break to ask you to hit the follow or subscribe button if you haven't already. And if you're enjoying this episode, I'd be super grateful if you could hit those stars and rate it too. Thank you. So you have a choice how you would like to complete this exercise. Now you can either download the accompanying workbook, which I've put in the show notes, and you can do the exercise in there, or you'll need a pen and paper. And as we go along, you can simply pause the audio and complete the exercise as we go along. Most of us fall into one of four categories in regards to our values. I'm going to share these four categories, and as I do, see if you can choose the one that you fall into. So which one of these statements describes you the most? So the first one is, you know what your values are, but your current life doesn't actually reflect these values. And this leads to you not feeling satisfied, and ultimately it leads to you feeling rubbish. Or are you number two? You don't know what your values are, and therefore your life lacks meaning and fulfillment. Now, this one was definitely me. This was when I remember constantly questioning, is this it? Is this life now forevermore? And I realized it was because I was living so far from the things that I valued. Or are you number three? You're living according to your values based on shoulds or ought tos, and as a result, you feel miserable. So this is when you are doing those things when you're going, oh God, I really should do that, or I really ought to do that. That's no way to live. So is that you? Or number four, you're trying to live according to your values, but you're experiencing barriers or difficulties along the way. So maybe they need tweaking, or you need to work out what those barriers or difficulties are. Okay, so the first part of this exercise is a value brain dump. Now, this is going to help you just get everything down on paper of what's important to you. I want you to list out all your interests and all the things you are naturally drawn towards. Don't overthink it. Just brain dump everything that's important to you. Okay, if you need to pause now. Okay, the second thing you're going to do is I want you to visualize a time when things felt incredible. I want you to really bathe in an image of happiness where you felt amazing. So what you can do now is close your eyes, as long as you're not driving or operating heavy machinery, and visualize the place where you were. Look at what's around you. What are the colors and the sounds and the smells? Were you inside or outside? How did you feel? What's going on? So list out now the words that jump out that describe that scene. So I want you to put all of those words down again onto the piece of paper. So again, you can pause the audio now. The third step now is, and this is only going to be short-lived, but I want you to visualize a time when things didn't feel so good. So again, a good thing to do is close your eyes, notice what was happening, what's the time of day, what are the colors, what were you wearing? Just immerse yourself in that visual and list out how it felt. So when I did this, I felt back to, I remembered that when I was working in my tuition franchise business, and there was an awful lot of admin I had to do. I used to have to go through and set all these children's work. It was worksheet based. There was so much printing of paper and stapling, and oh my goodness, it used to make me feel so heavy. I was so uninspired by it. So just think of a time that gives you all of those sort of feelings. Right, so we can now move on from that. Now we are on step 4. So at the moment, what you will have is you will have 3 different lists. We've got the value brain dump. We've got the words when to describe the scene which felt really good, and we've got the words of the scene that didn't feel so good. So on that third list of the scene that didn't feel so good, I want you to write the opposite words. So, for example, if on that scene which didn't feel so good, you've got the word loneliness, I want you to cross out the word loneliness and write an opposite word or words. So it could be something like community or connection or partnership. So I want you to go through each of those words and write the opposite and cross off the negative word. Hopefully you've now got some words on your page which reflect your values. Now, if there's nothing on your page which is reflecting your values, now is the time to add anything in which hasn't come up so far. And now, step 5, it's time to get brutal. So now is the time to shortlist your favorites. Which words jump out at you? I want you to shortlist until you arrive at 5 to 7 words. Now, these are your values. Now, the last step is to put them in order. Number your list in order of how important they are to you. So 1 being the most important. And congratulations, these words are your core values. Now, this will help you so much when making big, bold decisions in life and can act as a filter system. If that thing doesn't allow for any of your core values, it's a very clear no. The number means that if something doesn't fit all of them, but it does incorporate the top one, then that's okay. Don't say yes to things that don't light you up. I hope that's been useful. I would absolutely love you to send me what your core values were. You can send me an email, info@pollyron.com, or you can come over to my Facebook group and come and join the Positive Perimenopause Club. I'll put the link in the show notes, and you can come and share your values with us in there. I would absolutely love to know what they are, and also if you're living according to them. Let me know your thoughts on this episode. If you found it useful, please feel free to share with a friend. And also, it would mean the absolute world to me if you could subscribe, rate and review. It really does help this podcast get out there. And the best place to review really is Apple Podcasts, and it would just mean everything. Thank you so much for listening. I know you're super busy. It really does mean that the world. I've said that about 3 times now, but it does. So thank you for spending this time with me. Have a really wonderful rest of the week, and I will speak to you next time. Bye.